Lastly, I want to thank Senator Leahy as well as the distinguished members of this committee. I know it is exceptional for a senator to testify against another senator nominated for a cabinet position, and I appreciate the opportunity you've given me today. I've worked closely with many of you on this panel on both sides of the dais on matters related to criminal justice reform, and you know just how deeply motivated I am by the many issues our next Attorney General will heavily influence, especially the crisis of mass incarceration. I know that some of my many colleagues are unhappy that I am breaking with Senate tradition to testify on the nomination of one of my colleagues, but I believe, like perhaps all of my colleagues in the Senate, that in the choice between standing with Senate norms or standing up for what my conscience tells me is best for our country, I will always choose conscience and country. While Senator Sessions and I have consistently disagreed on the issues, he and I have always exercised a collegiality and a mutual respect between us. Perhaps the best example of this is the legislation we co-sponsored to award the Congressional Gold Medal to those foot soldiers who marched at Selma. One of the foot soldiers is sitting next to me now. This was a blessing and an honor to me because in 2015, a retired judge who was white told me that it was those brave marchers on the Edmund Pettus Bridge who inspired him as a young lawyer in the 1960s to seek justice for all in New Jersey and begin representing black families looking to integrate white neighborhoods, black families who were turned away and denied housing. One of those families was mine. I am literally sitting here because of people, marchers in Alabama and volunteer lawyers in New Jersey, who saw it as their affirmative duty to pursue justice, to fight discrimination, to stand up for those who are marginalized. But the march for justice in our country still continues. It is still urgent. I know also, though, of the urgency for law and order. I imagine that no sitting senator has lived in the last 20 years in higher crime neighborhoods than I have. I have seen unimaginable violence on American streets. I know the tremendous courage of law enforcement officers who put their lives on the line every single day to fight crime in America. I want an Attorney General who is committed to supporting law enforcement and securing law and order, but that is not enough. America was founded heralding not law and order, but justice for all. And critical to that is equal justice under the law. Law and order without justice is unobtainable. They are inextricably tied together. If there is no justice, there is no peace. The Alabama state troopers on the Edmund Pettus Bridge were seeking law and order. The marchers were seeking justice and ultimately a greater peace. One of the victories of the modern civil rights movement was the 1957 Civil Rights Act, which in effect made the Attorney General not only the chief law enforcement officer of the United States, but also vested in that office the responsibility to pursue civil rights and equal protection for all of America. Senator Sessions has not demonstrated a commitment to a central requisite of the job, to aggressively pursue the congressional mandate of civil rights, equal rights, and justice for all of our citizens. In fact, at numerous times in his career, he has demonstrated a hostility towards these convictions and has worked to frustrate attempts to advance these ideals. If confirmed, Senator Sessions will be required to pursue justice for women, but his record indicates that he won't. He will be expected to defend the equal rights of gay and lesbian and transgender Americans, but his record indicates that he won't. He will be expected to defend voting rights, but his record indicates that he won't. He will be expected to defend the rights of immigrants and affirm their human dignity, but the record indicates that he won't. His record indicates that as Attorney General, he would object to the growing national bipartisan movement towards criminal justice reform. His record indicates that we cannot count on him to support state and national efforts towards bringing justice to the justice system. and people on both sides of the aisle who readily admit that the justice system as it stands now is biased against the poor, against drug addicted, against mentally ill, and against people of color. His record indicates that at a time that even the FBI director is speaking out against implicit racial bias in policing and the urgent need to address it, at a time when the last two attorney generals have taken steps to fix our broken criminal justice system, at a time when the Justice Department he would lead has uncovered systemic abuses in police departments all over the United States, including Ferguson, including Newark, Senator Sessions would not continue to lead this urgently needed change. The next Attorney General must bring hope and healing to this country. And this demands a more courageous empathy than Senator Sessions' record demonstrates. It demands an understanding that patriotism is love of country, and love of country demands that we love all of our citizens, even the most marginalized, the most disadvantaged, the most degraded, and the most unfortunate. Challenges of race in America cannot be addressed if we refuse to confront them. Persistent biases cannot be defended unless we combat them. The arc of the moral universe does not just naturally curve towards justice, we must bend it. If one is to be Attorney General, they must be willing to continue the hallowed tradition in our country of fighting for justice for all, for equal justice, for civil rights. America needs an Attorney General who is resolute and determined to bend the arc. Senator Sessions' record does not speak to that desire, intention, or will. With all that is at stake in our nation now, with an urgent need for healing and for love, I pray that my colleagues will join me in opposing his nomination. Mr. Chairman, my time is over. I'd like to submit the rest of my testimony to the record. I'd like to again thank you for your opportunity to testify. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge, which was not done, that sitting behind me are proud members of the United States Congress and the Congressional Black Caucus.